Hey gang, Professor McElroy here. Web Design 2, January 2022, GRA 2524. This is lecture 2 in the 4-week lecture series for the class. Good job so far, learning module 1 and actually even learning module 2. Most of you have completed your assignments, book assignments for learning module 1 and learning module 2, which is awesome. I'm also noticing that everyone is watching the lecture later as a recorded lecture and not chiming in for the live synchronous lecture, which is good to know because next week's assignment is just an out of book assignment, just to kind of keep the process going with your exploration of CSS, JavaScript, Bootstrap responsive templates, and the multiple HTML page environment. So I think next week I may do my recording, my full recording on Monday and post it in the announcement so I can give you a full week to build your from scratch personal portfolio page website, because I have so many students always asking me, even students that aren't in the design program that are just taking the web design classes, that they'd like to build a personal web page. So I downloaded a couple of templates for this week. One is just a multi-page company site, and the other one is a personal portfolio site with social media links and some really nice graphics, completely responsive, completely bootstrap driven, that we'll be able to build next week as a really nice take with you kind of portfolio projects. I would say probably 80 to 85% of the students that I have in the course, specifically the ones that aren't design majors, asked to build some kind of personal portfolio page as part of a project. So I thought I would introduce it next week. In the 2020 edition of the book, we actually have a couple of bonus chapters, multimedia chapters in the book. But the 2020 edition, 2021 edition, they removed the bonus chapters. So we'll do a portfolio project page instead, to kind of give you a tool that you can take with you, a little portfolio that you can take with you online wise, that if you wanted to upload and get a URL and use, would be a really nice multimedia responsive solution where you could post about you to potential employers, or if you have any kind of freelance thing that you have kind of chewing around in your brain, business you'd like to start, it would give you the perfect platform to kind of start that build, and you could take it from there after the class. So with that being said, great job so far on learning module 1. Like I said, everyone I think is pretty much done with learning module 1. There might be a person or two out there lingering that hasn't taken the quiz yet for the first learning module, but everyone's doing really well. So, and I think just about everyone submitted the book assignments for learning module 2. Chapter 11 is the one that does the FTP connection. If by chance, for any reason, you're having trouble with an internet connection as you're working on it from your home computer, you can do a screenshot for me where you've entered all the FTP information in for the connection into your site manage site, your site new site menu, and do a print screen or screenshot of it, and you can send me that so that I know you went through the process of connecting to your site the way that the book has the step-by-step. We did it every week in Web Design 1 class, and we did it week 1 in Web Design 2, just so you got comfortable with that FTP connection, that site managed site process. So if you're having any connections issues with connecting to the cloud, no big deal. You can just send me a screenshot, JPEG, PNG, whatever, of your Dreamweaver with the files opened, you connected, and your FTP connection information entered in the dialog box. Most of you have sent me the files back, which is perfectly fine, as far as just giving me the chapter files. So I know you downloaded them and went through them, but you can also give me a screenshot. Okay, so that brings us over to the announcement section. You'll notice I already posted a pre-lecture early in the week. I like to do that in all the courses now because we've taught the classes so many times, to give you an early preview of topics covered. each week so that you're not waiting all the way till Thursday to hear about topics that we might be covering through the week. And it also gives you the opportunity to go ahead and work through the projects as you need to. So you're not waiting to the end of the week and only having 3, 4, 5 days over a long weekend to work on your projects for Learning Module 2 or 3 or whatever module we're in. So it seems to work really well. I get a lot of really positive feedback about it. So like I said, next week's module, because no one is logging on live and watching the lecture, everyone's watching it recorded, I'm going to record it early in the week and post it for you. And then you can email me throughout the week if you have any questions as we're building our personal portfolio page. And we'll see what we come up with, see how it works. Remember that when you're uploading your zip file for me for any of the projects, chapter assignments, out of book projects, I need the whole folder. I need everything you put in that folder. You can't give me just the index.html file. You can't give me just the page you edited because that's all that you needed to edit going through the chapter assignment. I need all of the subfolders to your directory. So if there is an assets or a JavaScript or a CSS folder or an images folder, anything that's in the folder that's connected to your site. Remember, there's the link relationship. I need it. If not, I can't see your stuff. And when I go to Live View in Dreamweaver, when I connect to the folder you gave me, I get empty boxes and I get disjointed content because it's looking for scripting commands that don't exist because I don't have all the files. So just make sure that when you're giving me the files, that you're giving me everything. And you'll notice for week 2, I gave you an extra folder, which I'm going to connect to in Dreamweaver, just in case you're interested in building multiple pages from scratch. Maybe you didn't love the pizza template and you want to mess around with this one. You most certainly can do that for your out of book project this week, is modify the company zip file that has multiple pages already built for you. You just have to edit the content on them, or you can add pages just by duplicating a page inside of your pizza folder and naming it a new file and building the page that way. So whatever is most comfortable for you, duplicating the HTML pages inside your pizza folder, or downloading the company template and editing a few pages in that. Remember, it's a total of 5 pages for this week for your out of book, because we edited 2 pizza pages last week. So you can either add 3 more pages to your pizza folder, or you can use the company template that already has more than 5 pages and just go in and edit 5 pages from fresh. Some students like to practice, so they want to go in with the new template and tinker around with it. It's a really good template too. So you can do that if you like, or you can use the pizza files that I gave you. Just knowing that you have to duplicate pages because you need more than the 2 HTML pages that I put in the original folder. And you'll also notice down here that the portfolio pages, and it's only a couple of them actually, in the personal portfolio bootstrap driven responsive site design that we're going to edit next week. Remember, I'm going to do that recording on Monday and post it because it looks like I'm not getting any synchronous logins from students in the course. I'm just getting asynchronous where they're watching the recording later. So, which is perfectly fine. I'll record the lecture on Monday and post it for you. And then you'll have the full week to tinker around with the personal portfolio web page. Okay, so that brings us over to the modules. And we're in Learning Module 2. Like I said, I think almost every single student has completed the chapter 11 and 12 already, and you did 9 and 10 last week. And so we're good there. So everyone's on a good pace here. I had a quiz in here. I guess I hid it from you guys so that you could just do the chapters in the out of book project. Score one for you guys. I normally have a chapter 9, 10 multiple choice quiz, which it looks like I removed from Learning Module 1. This week's just 2 chapter assignments, about an hour each, and then adding the extra 3 pages to your pizza site. So not too bad. I'm trying to spoon feed you and let you play with the CSS, play with the JavaScript, and edit the HTML pages. If you took Web Design 1 recently, then everything should be really fresh for you, and you should be comfortable with going in and locating the HTML and editing it to make it your own. If you took Web Design 1 a few months ago, then maybe this is a bit of a refresher week 1, and week 2, you're diving into it a little bit more. Page 3, Learning Module 3 will be your personal page template, which is that zip file I put in the announcements, but we're not there yet. I may pop a quiz in next week's Learning Module 3, just to cover some glossary terms from some of your chapters 9 through 12, some of the terms. I'll see. We'll see how you guys are doing, and then we'll kind of play it by ear and take it from there. So good job so far on the book assignments. Make sure you're giving me the entire zip file, and so I can view it the way that you did it, the way that you designed it, so that I can make sure that you made the edits you need to make. And good job so far on the out of book. Some of it gets a little awkward because you're trying to place images that are too small into boxes that are bigger. Remember to kind of take a look at that. And you should know pixel relationship by now. So if the image looks to be a little bit bigger, like it's more like 1,000 pixels, try not to put in your images folder an image that's only 200 pixels, because it's going to make a really small picture in a really big box. Remember that the div tags are containers, and you're filling the containers with text or images. So that box has a shape, right? It's a row and a column. So you want to make sure that the things that you're swapping out and putting back in have a close relationship inside of what's currently there. And you can kind of guesstimate it, right? You can look at it even if the code doesn't tell you how big it is, and really get an idea for how big it is, a guesstimate at least. So try not to put really small pictures in really big boxes, and try not to put really big pictures in really small boxes. Kind of the same rule of thumb. And we'll see how you do. Everyone's doing pretty well editing. Some challenges, but that's okay. It's one of those trial and errors. You got to play around with it and kind of see how it goes. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and Dreamweaver, and I'm just going to talk about the company template a little bit and just highlight a few things so that you recognize, realize what's going on if you were to edit the company file from scratch. I kept the pizza template very simple for you to make the finding of information and editing of information a little bit easier. Now this template has a little more complexity, more JavaScript, more CSS, more assets that it's tied to. But if you're looking through the HTML, you still should be able to see and understand what it's pointing to and where that thing exists. So it's practice. You just got to keep practicing. You can always do edit undo if something gets broken in split view and it doesn't look like the way you want it to look. And remember, design view looks different than live view, because design view doesn't take into account some of the scripting commands that are tied to the pages that you would see in live view. So live view gives you the menu looks, the header information, some of the other information in a more natural scene than you get in design view. So let's go ahead and minimize that. I'm going to go into Dreamweaver, right? I've actually already connected to my Macroy company folder, but just remember when you get into Dreamweaver, site, new site. So if I need to Macroy company 2, just because I already have Macroy company, and I go in and I select Macroy company and I choose it and I save it, it's going to connect all of my files right over here. And this is what chapter 11 in your book's all about. It's about keep connecting through that FTP connection. This is only a local connection because I didn't enter in my IP address information in order to do a remote connection. So if you put that information in that the book tells you to put in, and you're getting a disconnect where it's not connecting to the cloud, just give me a screenshot of the information you entered in so I can see that you put in the information correctly, and that it's just a matter of your internet site connection not being live or not connecting. So that's perfectly fine. So, all right. So brings us into our company. So let's say you chose to do this one to edit for your 5 pages for this week's out of book, and you don't want to duplicate pages from your pizza file. You can go in here and open this up. I like to work, which I've said before, in live view. That way the menus and everything look the way they're supposed to look. If I go to, it's going to be an accordion stack here. If I'm in design view, it looks a little bit different. So I like to go into live view. Gives me a live connection because I made an FTP connection with my files. So it already knows all of my assets. my CSS, my image folder, my JavaScript, and any vendor plugins that are being used in this template, which there are some. And this is for my PHP, for my contact form. This is the commands that's telling the form how to work and what email to go to. So just know that. So look at this, a bunch of pages here. And our out of book, we only have to do a total of 5 pages. So if you want to edit this one, instead of editing the pizza files and adding 3 more pages, you most certainly can do that. So I'm just going to go into the index page and I'm going to highlight a few things so you can see what is going on and where things are, highlight them again, right? So in my code side of my live split view, we'll notice things like, right, this is a Bootstrap template I downloaded. So and I think we talked about Blaze Pizza last week. So let's go ahead and just make it Blaze Pizza, right? So that's metadata, the information that appears behind the scenes, right? So things like favicon icons, which is this little B here. That's what appears in the browser next to the URL when you type in the URL in the search browser. So favicons are really cool. They're PNGs. They're really, really small, and they appear next to the icon. Most people don't even notice them, to be honest with you, but this one does have a B favicon. If I wanted to replace it with a different, I would have to replace it with a different one, 32 pixels by 32 pixels. So just know that. That's the size of that little icon. And the touch one is 180 by 180. So that's the difference between the differences of the responsive design and how it's viewed in a touch environment versus a more traditional desktop environment. So, so you can see, I'm just going to scroll down real quick. So the favicons, excuse me, the Google fonts, what it's pulling from, the CSS files, things like the Bootstrap and the style sheets, all of that stuff is being driven by style sheets that are embedded inside of our asset vendor folder. You don't need to edit that for this level of code development, but just know it's there and you can play around with it a little bit if you want, if you are comfortable. Most are comfortable in the basic styles.css file, not in the responsive elements of the bootstrap.css. So if you want to go in, I recommend the main styles.css. You can control color and some of the basic graphic elements of our responsive website design. I'm taking a quick swig. I have a drink here. I've got a little bit of allergies going on, so every once in a while you might hear me take a sip. Bootstrap Made is the site that has all kinds of really spectacular templates to play around with. It's where I downloaded both templates that we can play around in class for you guys, because they're professionally responsively built, and it's a great place to deconstruct or reconstruct, because if you go to work for an employer as an entry-level web developer or designer, you're going to be working in an environment where they already have a responsive site built, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, basic commands, PHP files. So deconstructing to reconstruct is really a great way to go at this level, so you can start really challenging your understanding of code. So we're going to scroll down. And I'm just going to break down the index page for you so we can reinforce the elements. So remember the logo right up there. It is spelled out in text as an H1, right? It has a span breakup, and it gave us a space holder if we wanted to replace it with a logo. So let's just take a look at that real quick. See, they made it a comment, and they said that in the assets folder that under IMG, there's a logo.png, and it's floating fluid, which means in this container. So I went ahead and in the images folder, I created a logo.png, which is right there. So I'm going to go ahead and replace the text. See the text there? I'm going to go in and replace that text with the logo. So I'm going to highlight this to get rid of that information. See how there's only an href now? And I'm going to tinker around with it a little bit here. So let's see what we have going on here. let's make sure that, let's check my design view. Let's make sure that I didn't put that thing outside of its container. So let's check this out. So let's see, let's make sure I didn't, there it is. Perfect. So there's my little container. Let's make sure that, so you see how I'm removing some of my elements to make sure that I don't have any lingering carrots or anything. That's all I'm doing, is just making sure there aren't any lingering carrots hanging out there. So there we go. So we have our Blaze logo, which I followed the comments in the template already. So all I did was add an image called logo.png inside my image folder, right? So I still have all my menus. I still have all this stuff here. So I just swapped it out with the logo, keeping in mind that I made sure the logo was small. I think 200 or 300 pixels wide. So it's like 80 pixels tall, so that it didn't stretch this. If this logo was bigger, it would stretch that white box down. Remember, it's a container. So it would stretch this container down. There it is, div container. And it would make it bigger, which means a bigger white stripe. I don't want a bigger white stripe. I wanted to keep it pretty consistent. So I went in and edited that a little bit. And now here's my navigation bar, right? Nav bar is my nav ID, which is right here. And here are all the names. So my index is linked as an active link to home, right? The drop down is a drop down menu, which is about us, which creates this little chevron, which is that little drop down icon. And then here's all of the names of the pages, about us, team, testimonial, and deep drop down with all of these menus right here. So if I needed to make any adjustments, I could make them here. Now you'll notice that there's no link to about us. See this number sign? That's a space holder. That's because it wants you to access the pages via the drop down menu. So you'll notice about.html, team.html, testimonials.html. They should be right down here, right? So the pages already exist. So everything here already exists for you. If you just want to keep the names the same, about Blaze, make up a team, and maybe a testimonial about Blaze, you could literally make the home page, the about page, the team page, the testimonial page, and be done 4 of the 5. They already exist right over here. You just need to customize them for your design. And last but not least, contact. So if I scroll down a little bit further, there's contact.html. So that could be your 5 pages right there: the index page, the contact page, the about page, the team page, and the testimonials page. And then you don't even need services or portfolio or pricing or anything like that. So let's just see what it looks like if I take services out of there. And I take portfolio out of there. And I take pricing out of there. And I take blog out of there. So you can see that this now cleans this up. So, and I actually don't even need the drop down for the big drop down. So what if I got rid of this, the deep drop down? And you'll notice no deep drop down. So awesome. Page 1, page 2, page 3, page 4, and page 5. Now, with that being said, I've made some modifications here. Also, there's the link space holder for Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. I don't know if Blaze has a Instagram or Twitter. I guess I could go out and search. Let's see if Blaze has any social media. Scroll down. Oh, it does have Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Go figure. So if I click on there, here's Instagram. So I could put it right here in place of the space holder. So there it is. And so now that has a link to it. And I could do that for Facebook and Twitter and all the others in order to get this thing up to speed. But the thing I wanted to highlight, so I'm going to go ahead and save that. The thing I wanted to highlight was this header tag right here. So if I highlight this all the way to the top, so I'm going to highlight this thing all the way to the top and copy it. And I'm going to go in and open up the About page. And I'm going to scroll down to the bottom of the header, and I'm going to highlight this all the way, and I'm going to do paste, edit paste or Command V, and I'm going to replace this header information with the header information I just edited from the index page. So now you're going to notice that the index page and the About page have the same header information. That's really important. So if I went in and did the time to edit the navigation, edit the social media icons, and swap out the logo, I can copy the entire metadata information, the head information, all the way up to the top and replace it on the About page. Well, if I did that, I probably would want to replace it on the team, on the testimonial, and the contact page so that it all matches, right? So if I go to contact, here's my split view. Let's scroll down to the end of the header, which is right here. Highlight this, paste. And there it is, right? So I would want to do this. So what's the next one? Testimonial. Let's go into testimonial. Scroll down to the end of the header. Highlight this. Edit, paste. So that saves. And then what's the last? So we did index, we did About, we did testimonial, we did contact, we have to do team. So the last one is team. And so I'm going to scroll down in my code, make sure I get to the bottom of the header tag, which is right there. Highlight this, paste, go back in here, and voila. So now all 4 pages look exactly the same. Team, testimonial, contact, and About Us. That header information is important because it's on every page. When I get into the body information, this is unique to the body page. So when I get into mess around with this thing, I need to make sure that, and you can see all of this information. If I click on this, you'll notice my information here. So let's get in. Let's just click on my containers so you can see what's going on. Here's my carousel of all of my different topics. So my carousel has 3 sliders. Welcome to is the first one in this cycle. So the first one's welcome to. So I'm going to change welcome to Blaze Pizza, right? Exclamation point. And then let's go over to Blaze Pizza and just grab maybe this. Copy that inside of my paragraph tag. I'm just going to dump in my text. And now you're going to notice that slider 1 is going to say, welcome to Blaze. So I got to put an A in there. And so this thing has, so let's take a look here. Carousel, yada, yada, yada. Blaze Pizza, blah, blah, blah. Read more. All right, so we're good there. My background image is slide1.jpg. So let me just see something here. Let's see if I can find an image. So just for the sake of it, I just want to see what this is, just so that you can see. So let's do desktop.jpg. Let's go into my McRoy company, go into the assets, go into the image folder, and I'm just going to put desktop.jpg inside of there. I just want to see what it looks like from a background standpoint. So if I went into the background image and changed it to desktop.jpg. See what it looks like. Oh, it's in the slide area. So you see how it was an empty container? It's because it's not in the right place. So let's go into assets. Oh, not portfolio, company. Let's go into assets. All right, here's my images, and it's supposed to go in slide. So if I dump this into slide, let's take a look at it. See if it will refresh. Might just take a minute. And let's see what it looks like. All right, let's change it to design view. And then let's go back to live view and see if we can get this thing to refresh. There it is. All right, so there's my image behind Blaze Pizza because I switched it out with the image I took off the internet. So you'll notice that we're going to scroll down past our carousel, and we could edit those 3 carousel images and text if we wanted to. And let's scroll down and see what else is on this page. So here is my text for my next container, which is my row content. So I don't know, what do we got here that we could find out about that would be interesting? Real ingredients. Let's copy this. And I'm just going to change this to real ingredients. There it is. And then let's swap out the H3 with the text that I stole from the page. Look at that. Ooh, beautiful. And look, there's the next round of information. So it's a paragraph and a checklist. So we could do, look at all of these things. I mean, there are so many things I could pull off of this site that would be pretty fun. So I could copy this. And here's my next paragraph. And then here's my list. So I would need to, so let's see if there's anything I can pull from real ingredients, eco-friendly packaging. So I could just change this to real ingredients. Eco-friendly packaging. Anything else on my list? Ideally, I need one more thing. Oh. So I'll just do our community, our team. So look at that. And then I got a little italic blurb. So is there anything good? Oh, here we go, right here. Perfect. Copy that. And then in my italic blurb, which is right down here, paste that. And look at how good it's looking, right? So we have the Blaze logo. We cut it down to the 5 pages. I could change those galleries. So I'm scrolling down. And then I have these little space holders, which I believe they have space holders. So California transparency and supply. This could technically be the first bullet. I'm going to slide that over. Let's click on that. And paste that. And then copy that. And you're getting the idea here. It's really, once you find a groove and start realizing where things go, you can edit you can edit code pretty easily, especially when you're building deconstructing to reconstruct. So I've given you a professional template that has all kinds of elements. So Nemo, so let's just see. I'm just scrolling down here. So here is my next div. So you're actually going to notice that all of these things are together. So I'm going to highlight this. So I'm just looking to see how many divs are up there. So I'm going to delete this and remove these. And let's see what happens. So you see how it removed only the second row of my containers, but still gives me my gallery. So really easy edit. You just have to know that when you're deleting a div container, that you got to make sure that you get all of the columns or containers inside of it, and it makes life a lot easier. So here's our gallery, app card web. You can see all the images. We could swap those out if we wanted. We also could delete the gallery if we didn't want the gallery. So let's get rid of the gallery first. Let's see what we have here. Portfolio template. App 1, App 2, card, App 3, card, portfolio filter. So I'm just going to get rid of that. Let's see what we have. It'll refresh itself. It just takes a minute. So now we have our gallery, text, our row. Oh, we still have our app card. So we have to find that. So we got to get rid of that. This whole portfolio section. And that way it gets rid of anything we don't want in the portfolio section. So we just have our rows. So clients, I don't know that we need the client section either. Although I don't know if Blaze, nope, but they do have fundraising, but they don't have any companies tied to them. So I'm going to find the end of the client section, which is right here. I'm going to highlight it. And I'm going to go to the start of the client section, which is right here. I'm going to get rid of it. And so now we should just go to a footer. So now we've cleaned this up. It looks more like what we know, still has the animations, and it brings us to the bottom of our crumbs. So then we just scroll down to the bottom here and we take a look at where our crumbs are. And you can scroll to the bottom here. That's the beauty about live view, and click around. So here's my footer. And so join our newsletter, blah, blah, blah. Chevron, web design, blah, blah, blah. We could actually get rid of the services area because we don't need that. We only really need the useful links area, but we could change this to point to our team testimonial pages instead of it saying web design. I mean, we could just change this to team. And testimonial. And get rid of these. And then we still have some of our things here, and we could swap the address and phone number and that sort of thing out. And that gets us all the way to the bottom of our index page. So we've edited that first page in the course of maybe 40 minutes, 30 minutes. So not bad at all. So now you see the process if you want to build 5 pages from scratch using the new template that I provided. I just picked Blaze Pizza. Honestly, you could pick any restaurant that you wanted to, anything that has 5 pages of content that you can build. But now we have our first page edited, so which is beautiful. Now keep in mind that let's open up the contact page just as a reference. So we replace that, we replace this. You'll notice that the address is an iframe right here, which is what this map is. If you went to Google Maps and put in a new address, it would give you an embed code for an iframe right there. So you would replace this information with the address of the place you're trying to point to. It's a Google map. See, it says Google Maps. So you go to Google Maps and you copy the iframe information and you paste it in there, and this map will change. And so that'll make that new. If we go a little bit further down the page, you're going to notice that it has static information. It has static information right here, which you're going to see right down here. Here's the location, here's the email, here's the call number. All the icons are the same. This is the form that is pointing to the PHP file, which is loading the page with all the message sent commands and all that good stuff. And here is the footer. So let's just scroll down to the footer. So you see this down here? If we changed the footer information over here, which is right here, I would copy this and I would go to my contact page and I would scroll down to my footer, which is right here. I would find my footer, I would highlight that, and I would edit paste in my new information. And you'll notice the footer changes to the footer of the index page. It's really simple. You just have to know what you're looking for. You kind of got to know where to hunt and peck and tweak, because the information's there. You just have to know what it looks like. So this is another opportunity to play around in code and see how you do. I'm going to save that, close this, save this. So when I was done, if this was my week 2 out of book, I would compress this folder, and this is the folder that you would give me, not the pages that you edited in it. You would give me the whole folder. So just know that. And I would rename it your last name underscore company if it was me. So it didn't say McElroy when you gave it to me. But as long as I go in and see the pages have been edited, I don't care what it says. But best practice is your last name underscore company. So that's about 45-minute recap, editing pages, going over Learning Module 2. Remember, Learning Module 3, I'm going to record the lecture on Monday and post it, so it gives you the full week, because we will be editing our personal portfolio, which is beautiful. This thing is beautiful. Like the animations, the skills, the resume, the summary, everything about this is beautiful. And seeing what I did to edit the company page, you're going to see how we can delete these parts that don't represent you and just keep the parts that do. But look at this thing, it's beautiful. And it jumps right down the page of this. So you see how these are all just anchor points? So all it's doing is jumping up the anchor points in order to, so about just jumps you down. If I click all the way to contact, it jumps to the bottom of the page. All these are anchors. This is all one page. It just opens up beautifully like this, with the menu, the social media icons, the name, a picture, which could be your picture. And as we scroll, the menu goes to there. I mean, it's really a beautiful page and a beautiful site. And we're going to manipulate this thing as our lecture next week so you can build a personal portfolio page of your own, knowing that this thing, this whole folder would need to be uploaded if you bought a URL or you have an IP address. You need this whole folder. But it's nice to have everything pointed, the templates all there, and everything working. We don't need the portfolio. So these things, these individual pages, portfolio details, we don't need that page because we're not going to more than likely be building a portfolio. Most students that ask for this, ask for it, and they are non-designers. If they are designers, this thing is perfect. It already has all of the icons, and all we have to do would be to link it to the appropriate page. So we would have to name this portfolio detail and then whatever this image was. So beautiful, really beautiful design. So we're going to edit this next week. So I'll do it as my lecture on Monday and post it for you guys, but it'll be our weekly project for Learning Module 3. Everyone have a good night. I hope they're healthy and safe and life is good. And I look forward to continuing to see your projects. Have a good night.